Morning everybody and welcome to the November meeting of the Regulatory and Services Committee. But before I open this meeting, I'd just like to hand it over to His Worship for some bereavement acknowledgements.
Thank you, Chair. This very morning, I'd like to acknowledge the passing of Kath Paul at Mountain View Rest Home, and all our best wishes to condolences to her family. Kath served 3 terms, 9 years on council here in Kawerau, from 1992 to 2001. And I was privileged to serve alongside of her for six years myself. So much sadness, but Kath has had fairly ill health for the last number of years, and then she went into a Mountain View Rest Home where she was well looked after, I think, and yeah, but she's passed away. So family.
And also acknowledgement to Councillor Savage and the loss of your sister Rex. So your council is here for you, and acknowledgement to the wider fun of the Savage Kapatoa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have no apologies this morning. We'll move into declaration of conflict of interest. There being any with this morning's agenda, committee? There being none, we'll move into part A, regulatory. So we have 4 managers' reports this morning. Russell. So we'll move into firstly the monthly report, regulatory and planning, pages 1 to 3. And welcome, Michaela, your first report. And we promise we will be kind because we're a kind bunch. Any questions of Michaela's report, please, from pages 1 through to 3, committee?
It's just through you, Chair, just a couple of queries. Firstly on page 2, I wasn't sure about the significance of the verification for a mobile food truck. I presume that means another word for permit. So if you can guide me on that. And the second one is under building consents, it's got 1 new relocatable dwelling. I was a bit perplexed at that because I wasn't sure with it being relocatable and therefore not a fixture, how that becomes a permitted type work. But if you can guide me on that one also.
Okay, to start with the food operation, the verification is just making sure the food is at a standard for consumption. That's all that is in regards to the mobile venue. And the relocatable dwellings, they do require permitting if they are plumbed up at all. They require permitting for those processes.
Makes sense.
And through the chair, if I can, the district processing committee, I've expressed an interest in the past. What's the exact process around that?
In regards to making an application, yeah, so you just need to submit an application to the council, just to the council email, just your expression of interest and your CV attached to that.
Thank you.
Just through the chair, just come back to the relocatable dwellings. What's the difference between a dwelling, please, that's on wheels and one that's landed on concrete pad? And is there a difference to either one of them with plumbing and utilities?
Yeah, there is a difference. In regards to ones that are on wheels, there's a definition around what becomes, when they become a building or not. I can't go into the full details about that because I don't know it off by heart. But to meet the building standards, If it's on wheels, it's got to meet a set definition. Otherwise, it will be deemed as a building. And then if it gets plumbed up at all, it needs to meet requirements. It also needs to meet the standard requirements of being 1.5 metres away from fences, for fire restrictions and that sort of thing.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, on page 1, item 1.1, I just wondered if that last paragraph should be moved to item number 2. First, security are to undertake a seizure program this week, staff committee. So I just wondered if it was meant to be in item number 2, monitoring and compliance.
No, it's a result of people not registering their dogs.
Seizure program, wow. And just a commendation too. It seems like in the unprecedented times that we're in, which aren't unprecedented anymore, that the only way to try and beat anything is to be joint, to do it collaboratively. So just acknowledge the CODO-based training for the incident management systems. You didn't just have CODO staff, but then also actually a local co-order here. Just acknowledge that's how we're approaching COVID at the moment, and of course, any unexpected, poorly, when we get into your report in regards to events and the management of that. So, yeah, awesome approach. And sorry, Madam Chair, just a question, just with the building, item number 6, building control, is there a backlog on building consents? Like, is it easy for whānau to be able to make applications? Is there a backlog on how long you have to wait?
No, there's not a backlog at the moment. We're sitting, there's been a slight delay in around, we just had an audit last week. But we were sitting at around about a 6-day turnaround. That's gone out to about 15, but there's definitely no backlog.
Thank you.
Any further questions of Kyla's report?
It's just on page 1, if I can return to item 1.1 that Councillor Kingy has raised. It would be fair to say that the last 2 years have been anything but normal. And I'd like to just be reassured that the seizure program, we have had conversations, I think it's 45 dogs, or when I went to Kawerau Central, that's what my numbers told me, and the difference between registered and not registered. I'd just like to get assurance that we have had conversations. We want it to be fair, those who have registered their dogs at 97%, that's great. But the seizure program over 2020, 2021, we've had some real change and shift in our community, just that there has been a conversation. I see the great work in paragraph 1.2 that our ranger assisted with the meaning of the fence, that kind of stuff. That personal touch, the seizure program is just quite a blunt instrument and tool to use, and I acknowledge it's been used in the past, but times are quite different now, and I see it's our contractor, not our ranger. Just the conversation to encourage and see how we can get collect that registration would be great. Yeah, and as has been mentioned before, the collaborative work we've seen in the past at times of crisis with item 7.1 civil defence, that the collaborative approach is the way to go when things go not according to plan or not as we'd like. It really is this whole of community that steps up and looks after. So well done in bringing everyone together. And I just have a question, please, about on page 2 about item 8.1. We know that there's lots of reform happening at the moment in the Natural and Built Environments Act as part of the RMA reform. Timing wise, when is the district plan due to be done, and when are we expecting to receive that draft, please? It's just a question expected. Yeah, that would be great.
So we have to start it by, I think, 2022.
Start the district review?
Start the district plan review. So we've got Tracy Hasten coming on the 30th of November to work through what that program will look like. Given that the reform is going on and you don't really want to be doing a whole lot of work that may not be necessary. So she's going to talk around the bits that we need to start, the pre-engagement, those sorts of bits. So yeah.
So starting November 22, that's when it needs to be completed by the end of 22? What? timing?
Sorry, no, so we have to start the process. So we adopted our operative district plan in 2012. You've got to start the review within that 10-year period. So we'll be starting the review next year.
Yep.
And I'd rather wait till Tracy comes and talks. I don't think there's an end date at the moment because it depends on what happens in the reform and how much work you're wanting to take on before that reform's decided. So the Natural and Built Environments Act has come out in the draft, but the next two acts are over the next 2 years. So there's a lot more to happen that we're not sure of what's going to come out.
Through the chair, please. Is this a thing for all councils
Yes.
throughout the country?
So
So,
we're
yeah.
not isolated in
No, so
the frustration of waiting for a reform or
yeah,
whatever it is.
not every council's got their review due at the same time, but there are a number of councils around the country that are taking advice on what they should be doing, taking legal advice and advice from planners around what approach they should take, given what we know at the moment, which isn't a great deal.
Thank you, Chair. We look forward to the CDS and hearing from Tracy. Yep, thank you.
No further questions of the report. Might ask for a mover, please. Thank you, Councillor Sparks and Councillor Savage. We have a mover and a seconder for the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
All those against? The recommendation is carried. Moving on to item number 2 on this morning's agenda, Part B, non-regulatory. Another report, finance and corporate services. Over to Peter, pages 5 through to 10.
Just through you, Chair, on page 5, item 1, paragraph. Chris Collins, I see as our new cadet, seems a very nice person. I met him the other day. Will his cadetship only be in the library or will he move around to other departments?
Just in the library.
Okay, thank you for that.
There is another cadet that's going to start, that's going to be around the council.
Right.
So
right.
this was a National Library funded position.
Oh, right, yes, positive. Sorry about that. And just a big thank you to the staff who adapted their holiday program, which couldn't take part in the library, but made the kits up for the families to collect. You know, there's a lot of work involved in those kits and that, and it was great to read about it. And I know some families really enjoyed it, the ones I spoke to.
Just through you, Chair, on page 7, number 6, the service requests. I've had a couple of conversations with residents lately who still don't seem to understand that one way of getting service requests put through is via the website. Now, I know we've publicised this in the past, but I just wonder if we could remind people again, because I think that some residents perhaps get a little bit frustrated, for want of a better way of putting it, and they want their issue, whatever it is, dealt with, but not quite sure how to do it. So I always say to them, look, the simple way, put the service request through the website. You can indicate whether you want a response, and certainly in my experience, it does work. So this would like to perhaps see that go through again on our next comms.
Just following on,
We can certainly do that.
following on, Madam Chair, just with that as well. And I think it's, if we could have that flow chart, their process, advertised again, only because we did have the blackout down in our area. The whānau thought they should come to the councillors and share that there is a blackout, but we let them know, just like them, we have to follow process as well. We make contact via online So just sharing with them, it's actually their role, and they see something that they think needs to be done in the community to follow the process that has been there for a long time, and it might just be, they might just need reminding. Thank you, Peter. Look forward to that in the flow chart too, please. Thank you.
Through you, Chair. Page 6, 3.2. Just looking for an update or clarity as to Creative Community Fund. I do note that 30th of June next year, maybe returning the funds. Where are we currently with it, and how many applications? And it seems to be an ongoing thing for the last 4 or so meetings. So can someone fill me in? Are we having difficulty?
Yes, we are. We're having a great deal of difficulty getting applications, and so far we've had 2. Three, so my apologies, I thought it was only 2.
Just following on from that, Councillor Rangihiga, we are trying, we said there, we know that Tanya's been working behind the scenes, Teresa as well, in regards to promotions on the radio. We ask that carry on, also contact with our local schools, contacts, if you know anybody, and it looks scary, the application, but it actually isn't. And you've got a picture of those committee members who are willing to take the time to sit beside you to help complete them. We've been really lucky with the creative arts scheme that they've allowed it to be extended. So it has been extended again to the end of this month. For those whānau that need support, please contact us. Our numbers are on our page as well. Let's make the most of this beautiful funding there. No idea is a silly idea. So please come back to us. Look forward to your application, Councillor Rangihiga. Sounded like there was like a little promoting it to whānau that you might know as well. Thank you, Peter, for trying. And our date, probably, Teresa's the end of this month, just confirming.
Yes, and the meeting will be on the 8th of December.
And it may be those whānau who applied for the community grant scheme, because you had quite a lot of applications, may be able to even look into that space as well. It might fall into our criteria. Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Through you, Madam Chair, in the past, I have found the shoulder tapping method to be the most effective. And so if everybody could just quietly look around their neighbourhood and their friends, and then get the people and assist them. It's not hard, but the shoulder tapping certainly works. I've got 2 people I have to shoulder tap myself. Yeah.
That will follow a formal process, Madam Chair.
Can I just go back to page 5, the first page of the report? Just the bingo promotion, our school kids seem to miss out on a bit these days, but is that something that would be set aside for perhaps term 1 next year? It doesn't just sort of fall off the shelf?
Certainly they can be.
Just a follow up, really. Yep, that would be good. Then down to museum, 3 items. Norski School would have had significant amount of material, I would imagine. Not the real big stuff, obviously, but has that put a real workload on your staff?
It's certainly added to the workload of the museum staff.
It was a
and they're working
significant-
through it. I mean, they collect it all and just slowly put it into the system and then
Yeah,
enter
just
it into the museum.
Just a question around volume, I would have thought. And the last one is to do with money, as always. Number 2, payments. That amount to waste management for October, over 63,500. The refuge collection. Did all of our residents have a clean out?
It's like 2 months worth.
Yeah, it is reported. Could we get clarity on that, please?
That looks like 2 months. It could be that for some reason,
Yeah, just checking.
2 months went through in one go. Or
Yeah, could you just, if you could check on that for us? Peter, yep.
Just through you, Madam Chair, page 5, museum technician, technical assistant. If we could thank her very much for doing the manuals, because she has a great deal of expertise, and it would be quite sad if somebody had to start from the beginning when she moved on, because there's quite a bit involved in that work. Yeah.
So noted with thanks. Thank you, councillor Julian.
Thanks.
Yep, thank you, Peter. Any further questions of Peter's report? Recommendation to move councillor Creedy, and we have a seconder, councillor Rana Hicker. Thank you, we have a mover and a seconder for that item. All those in favour?
Aye.
All those against? The item is carried. Item number 3, monthly report, operations and services. Agenda, yep, councillor Sparks.
Through you, Madam Chair, page 11, item number 1. Again, I just wonder if I could be enlightened on telemetry. Is that a sort of a monitoring system?
Madam Chair, telemetry is a monitoring control system. It just means that we have a central location, in other words, at the White House Spencer Road. We can monitor all our pump stations, all our reservoirs, and from there can also control them, so that people don't have to go physically out and open and close valves and start up pumps. You can do it from central location. So it's all part of fitting in with the greater region. We have the same type of telemetry rolled out across everywhere. So it's just a normal new way of progressing of how to control our different pump stations and the reservoirs.
So that would be also a method of monitoring whether problems were arising, early warning, would it?
That's a primary role, is
Yeah.
to tell us something's wrong.
Yeah.
So we've had that for a long time, but it's very basic. So what it does now gives us a lot more information and also the ability to control these systems from distance, and especially on the night and on the weekends. Staff can control these systems from their phones. Unless there's something seriously wrong, they can do a lot of changes and corrections from their house on their phones.
Through you, Madam Chair, 1.2, page 11. The water filter which failed, was that ours or a residence?
Your Madam Chair, that was a complaint about that. So we forget part of the filter as well. So it's a residential filter.
So was the filter valve in their house or in our Toby?
In our own house.
Oh, okay. And in page 12, number 3, I see our traffic islands are growing a crop of weeds. It would be good if we could have those cleaned up sometime. And on page 13, item 6, the progress on the new bore, please.
Madam Chair, a bit of a delay with getting the engineering work started to connect the new borehole with existing piping. So we had to get that in place before we start up. So the well drillers are here today to start the setup, and then drill the hole in the rest of the week. There's a couple of small hiccups we still ironing out, wrinkles we're sorting out. But they should be able to ring the hole by the end of this week, and then we'll start commissioning and getting the linkage to the pools in the next 2 weeks after that.
Good, thank you for that. In item 7, are we doing any physical checking of the green waste bins? I notice on my street there's a couple of people still putting out their green waste full of household waste, and it's being picked up every week with the normal household waste. So they're actually getting 2 bins picked up.
We have, you, Madam Chair, we have one staff member, part of the Q-based team, who once a day, once a week, in a random time, a random street goes and do an inspection. So he goes through them and diagnose that on. will tell him to go down on the street as well.
Because I think sometimes it's a good idea to check in the non-green waste pickup week, because you will probably find the worst offenders at that. Because I think that there's one in York Street as well. Okay, and item 10, last paragraph, I noticed that we have spent 1,400 on painting out graffiti. Is it the same walls being hit all the time, or is it different walls? Because I'm thinking of my fellow councillor's fund, which she's trying to get rid of. You know, we could paint some of these problem walls, yes.
Basically, Madam Chair, this month bill was quite large. It's almost twice the usual because we had some strange walls being painted. So there were one, I can't remember exact location, ask on there, but there were a wall that's usually not painted. That cost quite a bit more money to fix. I can give you the exact locations and the if you want. But this was not the normal walls we usually see regularly. So it's almost twice as much as we usually spend.
Because it could be quite advantageous if we know the walls, and then we perhaps could look at getting some children to design something to go on the walls, and we've got the funds which we can creatively work out a scheme for them to be painted. Yeah, and I think that once the kids themselves or children themselves have actually painted walls, they don't seem to get hit. The mural doesn't seem to get hit. So a list of those would be really handy, please.
To you, Madam Chair, the walls that we know that get hit regularly, we paint with a special paint that allow us to wash.
All right,
immediately
yes,
off.
yes.
It still takes a bit of elbow grease and work to do it, but it's a lot cheaper. So we will I'll give you a more detailed list of the areas we did treat in this way, and then areas we should look at in the future. And if there's options or requirements from the community, we can talk about that we allocate maybe a certain area or a certain wall where kids can go and do what they want. But once we found a suitable wall for that, old one.
Okay, thank you. And my last query is page 14, item 11. Have we managed to get the geotech report for the netball court for that extra little bit by Tamarangi Drive? Has that come in yet?
Yes, Madam Chair, that has come through. And from that, we demolished the walls and we removed it completely. That was the cheapest and fastest option.
But I just wondered, you know how you're filling in the little space at the end of the building nearest Tamarangi Drive? My belief is, or my understanding is that you had to get a geotech report of the ground before you could fill that in. Yep.
Madam Chair, this is still in progress. So
right.
we'll have to get a geotech report. Well, it's not a geotech report, it's a structural report.
Okay.
For all the structures putting up. So this will be available soon.
Good. Thank you for that. I have no further comments or questions.
Any further questions from the committee?
Through you, Madam Chair, just acknowledge Councillor Julian's creativeness when it comes to item number 10, vandalism. And hopefully on the airwaves, our whānau have heard that as well. Just going to, on page 15, their maintenance items, just some clarity in regard to comments and updates. So for transport management, I've got my expected finish date for the speed humps and pedestrian crossings at the end of November. Yes, yes.
Yes, no.
And also for town centre lights, to see there's been no spending and is to be completed by November. What are we looking at? Is the lights here in the town centre?
That's correct.
So it says work in progress.
Yes.
And also UV tube replacement water supply, just for that November one, which is, I mean, we've still got probably 10,000 there. Just wondering, is that a work in progress as well?
Yeah, it was actually the previous week.
Okay. Thank you. And two more. Just with the refuge disposal recycling shed, September 21 is the date. Just wondering, has that been completed if the date was for September?
No, that's the one that we actually should have revised the date, that's not complete, but it should be finished by now.
So we can add completed in there?
It's completed, but it was only completed in November. So it was the beginning of this month.
And this, and it's steam bore, of course, it's only because the comments sort of paint a bit of a picture as well. Just October 21, that one where we've got fingers crossed for that one, haven't we?
Yeah, so we're 2 weeks late with that, but it should have been done.
I'm sure the community of Calder are very understanding. It was, you know, they did ask for top line resources, and so they've got top line resources. And hopefully we can open on the 6th of December, of course, but do acknowledge that you want the best for the community. So it's a guide at the moment. You know, sometimes we put dates in there and the community is quite let down when it can't happen. But it's not because council is not trying, they just want the best resources possible for the community.
Yes, Madam Chair, we will open the pools until December. It might be that it's not really, but it's just a summer pool. So the 3 main pools will be open on the 6th. We're working towards that date. The spa pool might be on the 6th or shortly after if there's a delay or all work, steam will work.
Okay, so that comment has just moved from the writing over the report. It's got its plan, so we can say out loud that it will be open on the 6th of December. That's a Monday.
Yes.
It's just that you may need extra kit on when you hop in the pool. I think, yeah, but let's see. I'll leave that to his bishop to explain later.
To only comment I can say that I hear kids swimming in the creek now and down in the river, and
Yeah.
goodness, we're going back 50, 60 years now. So yeah, it's, toughen up, yeah.
Okay, I just have one item at the bottom of page 13, just clarity regarding the cable fences, Hanu. You mentioned the Hilldale Reserve. Is that not the BDF Doug Wilson Crescent?
Yes, it's
Piece
that
of land.
area, so we're doing all of them in one go. Yes, we're doing all of them in one go, so we've ordered quite a number of poles and cabling, so we will do that area first, going up from BT Avenue. But then where the empty lots are, then we'll go from there. work
Okay,
our
just
way
so
through.
the residents can hear that it is from the top end. It just doesn't.
We'll start with those 2 empty lots first, and then work our way through all the way down to Hilldale, where they please to be done.
Okay, so just do any other committee members need any clarity on any other item? We have a mover for everything just second. Councillor King, and we have a seconder, Councillor Julian. All those in favour? Aye. All those against? The recommendation is carried. Moving on to the last item for this morning's report. Item number 4, monthly report, economic and community development. Over to B. Tiring the building there, pages 17 to 20.
This is through you, Madam Chair, item 1, bullet point 1. That sentence has been appearing in our agendas probably for about 3 or 4 months. I didn't actually get the agendas out to have a look, but it is a bit concerning to me that this project seems to be stalled. And there would appear to be one of the partners holding things up, not quite sure why, but it is a concern that it is not currently moving forward.
So just to be more specific, are we talking about the Kawerau
Container terminal.
Okay, the top part.
Yeah, we're talking about number 1, bullet point 1.
Kiwi Rail.
Through you, Chair, the damning report from the CEO last night on TV is not too flash, so it suggests it's probably come right from the top down. And that's one thing I've been banging on about. Let's get on to some of our politicians to start putting the boot in the right place, because it's it's just gone, this is just ridiculous, and I can see a big embarrassment come into this council because of the amount of money that was handed out for the PGF fund, and I heard Shane Jones talking about it on the radio yesterday. And yeah, it is a concern, but you know, where there's a head probably needs to roll. Hope he's listening. Yeah, we need to start pushing the barrow a bit here, because this is just ridiculous. But it would be good to get feedback from the other partners before we go taking them too hard.
Okay, so we have an action item there, we can't, otherwise we'll be out again next month, 2022.
We'll follow it up with
So-
Mr. Turner.
Thank you, Russell, for our CEO following that up committee, so.
The only other thing I have is item 5 on page 20. 5 youth council members spent last weekend or the weekend before, but I think it was last weekend, spent all weekend editing their virtual Young Achievers Award. Last year, just Marjon and JJ did it. So we've now trained up 5 more members. And so this is a very important skill when you're taking videos and that. So well done to JJ for passing on that knowledge. And it's just more skills that our youth are getting in that filming line. It's quite incredible how they do it here. So, and one of the 5 I know is Sydney, who is probably only a year 9 or 10, but he's right in to this sort of technology. So, you know, sky's the limit for some of our children.
Year 8, councillor Julian.
Oh, it's a year 8, even younger, sorry. Well, there you are. That's the old intermediate age. So yes, yeah.
Just through you, Chair, on page 18, under 3, the last paragraph. I'll bring this up tomorrow in the crime reduction forum, but I agree that the community generally should be familiar with the community patrol, but of course the question is how can we encourage this? Because I think a lot of residents aren't even familiar that we've got a community patrol. Now I know that the patrol do struggle with getting members, and I think that's something that could be publicised as well through comms. But yeah, certainly from my perspective, the KCP do great work, and they need all the support they can get. So if anybody's got any ideas on how that process could be encouraged, be glad to hear them.
Yeah, I just can one comment about that. Disappointing to see some of the Facebook warriors again hacking into community patrol people. That was quite a some disappointing remarks made last week. I have a bit of time on my hands now, and I'm not allowed on any of these Facebook things because nobody wants me on there. That's fine, but I do have my ways of finding out what's going on. And when I see, you know, these people give up their time, they're not police. They're there for eyes and ears, and they're there to help. And so I'd suggest some of these people get off their chuffs and get out from beyond their keyboards and join community patrol. Other than that, shut their mouth. Thank you.
Any further questions of Lee's report? Lee, do you have any updates? Because I know you're in a very moving target area.
No updates regarding events other than what's been reported. Some events are still taking place. Some event organisers are moving with the times and adjusting their events accordingly. But because we're in this transient stage at the moment, going from alert level systems through to a traffic light system, it creates a few headaches for many event organisers. And it's, as you state, it's a diverse and changing environment, so quite challenging. Yeah.
Through the chair, just want to support that, Lee. Our community have enjoyed events as we've known them for quite some time, and it shouldn't go unnoticed that looking forward, a lot of the events and activities that we've enjoyed and the way that we've enjoyed them may look quite different. It's about meeting expectation, but the reality is, in our current time, we've got large groups congregating together may not be what's best for our community. So really just putting it out there that things may look a little bit different. And we have to manage our expectations against what we've enjoyed in the past. It is just very different times. And we thank you and your team, Lee, in trying to understand the moving measurements. Started with levels, now we're going to traffic light, don't know what's around the corner or over the horizon, but we do the best we can to maintain community spirit. Just want to thank you. Yeah.
So following on from that, big events gone for this year. I see we've advertised the King of the Mountain. It's been cancelled. In this report, it's also come up that Christmas in the Park cancelled. But have we got comms out on? I might have missed that. Have we? Okay, it is in this report today. So if we could get that out.
Madam Chair, item number 4, does that funding still sit or does it get carried over like you managed to do in the creative grant space? And do you have to, if it's not carried over, do you reapply?
Sorry, we have a workshop that will cover that this morning. Yep, following. So on the back of that report, we have an action item out of item number 1 on page 17. The CEO with regard to that committee, we have no further questions.
Chair, just one comment about that is we've now got a committee or a person from Kiwi Rail has joined our roading committee. And I just hope, because she's a female and some of those derogatory remarks made towards women last night on TV, that she's not just put there to brighten the room up. There's a few grumpy old people on there. I'm probably believe that I'm probably one of them. Mia Weber, the chair. However, I think we need to make sure that she's supported. The best value from Kiwi Rail from that side. Just a comment there.
So on the back of that, can I have a mover for the item? Thank you, Councillor Savage. The seconder down there, Councillor Sparks. So we have a mover and a seconder for the final report for this morning's meeting. All those in favour?
Aye.
All those against? And item is carried. Thank you everyone this morning, and I'll declare this meeting closed at 9:43.